Oh, it's nice to see you too, Dan. Good. All right. Well, good morning and welcome. It is 9 a.m. and this is the Bay Oaks Recreational Campus Advisory Board meeting, commonly known as BORCAB. It is Tuesday, April 5th at 9 a.m. and we are in the beautiful town hall at this time. So at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask you all to please rise for the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. First of all, I would like to say, for the benefit of our transcriber, let's go around the room and give our names. And we'll start with you, Dan.
Dan Allers.
Bruce Butcher.
Becky Guidry.
Barbara Hill.
Betty Simpson.
Karen Woodson.
Allison Geeson, and I have an excused absence from Beth Cherry. And also Holly Sweeney actually resigned for BORCAB as of yesterday.
Okay. I think that we all got the notice that Holly is resigning from our committee. I don't know how many of you saw the pictures of that baby, but she's going to be busy.
She is.
Anyway, I sent her a little note and just told her we would miss her and to stop by anytime she was available. We would like to see her. Okay, that brings us to the approval of the minutes for February 1st. May I have a motion for approval?
I move to approve.
Motion by Bruce.
I second Barbara Hill.
Okay, Barbara, second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That passes unanimously for us. Thank you. Okay. All right, this time, it brings us to the redevelopment plan status. Number 6 on our agenda.
So included in the packet, I had a tentative schedule of the project, as well as the lighting plan that was requested by several of you that I handed out to you. And Chelsea is here along with Jason to help answer any questions that you might have about the schedule or the project.
Well, I'll have a question. So I'm looking at the parking schematic that we just got. And we still have those 3 spaces in that very valuable spot there. Does
It
that
looks
mean
like we got vetoed.
we got vetoed?
Yes, sir.
Gosh.
But what, do we know, like, what was the reasoning? Because the whole thought behind it was that once they pour the concrete, it's a lot harder to get the concrete, plus it costs money to pay for the concrete.
Dan, do you care to answer or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Chelsea O'Reilly, Public Works Director until May 4th. So that's why I wanted to introduce. I gave notice I will be going to Gateway as their district manager, serving as their district manager. Jason Freeman will be my successor. So I'm taking this next month and getting him up to speed with everything, and he will be hands-on with this project just like I have. So should be a very smooth transition, and you guys are definitely in good hands. Jason, like myself, grew up on the beach. He was actually my assistant for a couple years, and he's been serving as the contracts manager / deputy clerk for 2 years, and so it'll be a smooth transition to this public works director position. So, and I know he's worked closely with Allison, so we're excited to have him in public works. But to answer the question, yes, the 3 spots went to town council. Town council opted not to. Yes, there is cost with putting in the paving, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be adjusted down the road if it's a park swing. You would still have to have some type of hard surface underneath. But until that gets further developed, we are at 90% design. And the intent is we're waiting on the South Florida Water Management District permit, which is stormwater. We did get some comments back. We're resubmitting. The building permit, the architect will be applying for that in the next week or so. We want to get that through our building department and for their review to start to address any concerns that they may have with regards to meeting the building code. And that's a pretty big hurdle, so they're going to go ahead and apply for that. Once we get those comments back in the South Florida Water Management District permit back, we will apply for the development order for the town. That's really like the land use, and that'll go through the permitting department. It'll go through all of the realms like everybody else, coming in. And then hopefully that puts us close to June 15th, which I think is the last day for Little League, and we can get this thing bid out and shovel in ground June 16th. That's the goal, but we're at the mercy of South Florida right now for the stormwater permits.
I have a question. First, I want to say, Chelsea, thank you for all that you've done for this redevelopment project. I know it's been a huge project.
Yes.
And I also want to wish you well with your new journey and
Thank you.
Gateway and lead management. So very proud of you. So just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate it.
When you say 90% design phase, what will it take when it gets to the 100? Because I thought that you have to go to 100% design phase before it goes out to bid.
That is accurate. That's true. So typically at 90% design, you submit permits. You submit for permits because environmental may have some comments to it that would impact the plans. The zoning may have comments that may impact the plans. Same thing with the building department. So that 10% is really addressing all of their comments that would come with the permitting aspect. And typically when you go out to bid, you like to have those plans in there, that approved development order or any other permitting as part of the plan set that lets the potential bidders know that, hey, this is a viable project. We've already done our due diligence, and this is, we're ready to get shovel in ground.
Is there any concern at this point with regard to the budget, or does that really happen after those bids go out?
That would happen after the bids go out. So, and as you know, we've been successful with the Land and Water Conservation Fund loan, which helps $1 million for the ball field. The market's, it's crazy right now, but we have looked at it as we've progressed through the design and looked and, okay, if, is steel 16 months out, is there an alternative that we can do that has a lesser lead time? So we have done that due diligence as part of the getting through design.
At our February meeting, we had a question about the lighting for the racquetball courts. And I see that we have the lighting, but it's not clear to me that lighting actually addresses the pickleball.
Pickleball, okay.
Pickleball courts,
Okay.
sorry. Can you explain to me if that is actually in? I think the concern was, would we have the opportunity to have
There is lighting.
evening, lighted courts for pickleball at night?
Yes, ma'am, there is lighting. If you look at page, kind of cut off, but E042. It's actually enlarged on page E043, and you can see that's the pickleball courts. That it does have it looks like a dual head lighting, and at least in the center, it will be illuminated. I will tell you, since this came out, we have gotten comments back from South Florida, and it appears that top, single floating pickleball court may have to go away because of stormwater retention. So there may only be 3 pickleball courts out there.
And you're talking about the one that's sort of off to
The
the
finger,
side there?
yes, ma'am.
The big one or the small?
The little
The little finger one
The little finger one?
that's sticking out.
Okay.
Because of stormwater.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We have certain requirements we have to meet with stormwater. We have to retain all of our water on site.
Is that swift mud? Is that the?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, mhm. Well,
Yes.
Somehow we should be able to,
Yeah, maybe if you take
Address
those
that.
3 parking spots and make them ground, you can have the pickleball court, which to me is much more important than those 3 parking spots. So why is it that they want to have the 3 parking spots?
I can't speak to the reasoning why. I just know that the majority of council said that they wanted to keep the 3 that were there.
Yeah, the consensus was that the parking is always an issue. So the added parking is more benefit than just having a grassy area with no intent of using it for something specific. It was also thought that it would be best to have those parking spots for anyone that wants to use the fitness court
Proximity.
that's coming from the south end of the island that can, not take up general parking. So that was the idea. And I believe the question was specifically asked, well, how difficult is it at a later date to remove those 3 parking spots? Should we have a viable use for it for something that makes more sense? And it's not very costly to take that out. It's cheaper to take it out than it is to put it in.
Yes,
Okay.
Makes sense.
absolutely.
So we want to have parking spots near the athletic field where people are going to work out, but the children's playground is stuck back in the back, and you have to walk way back to that. That doesn't make any sense. And if you take those 3 parking spots out, would that change the stormwater thing to where you can keep the pickleball court, which is the most valuable recreational opportunity that people want to see today? And if I had to vote between 3 parking spots and a pickleball court ought to win 10 over. I don't know.
Yeah, I think your key word there was today. Pickleball is very popular today. What's
Yes.
it gonna be 10 years from now? Is it still gonna be pickleball? It's gonna be something we haven't even heard of yet. I think with keeping the parking there, the consensus was, again, that it gives you the most flexibility to be able to adapt to something in the future.
Well, pickleball is hot now. Is Little League Baseball going to be popular 10 years from now?
It's been popular forever.
So was soccer. Soccer wasn't
And soccer
popular.
got vetoed.
Soccer wasn't popular at all when I was a kid, but it's very popular now. And I never heard of pickleball till a few years ago, but it's #1 in the nation. It's
So
crazy.
can I give you guys just another update? So Roger has asked me to wrap up any projects that I have ongoing right now. And as you guys know, that front parcel has been on our radar and we've been trying to get that constructed. I actually, at 10 o'clock, have to go meet with a contractor out there to get the 3rd price on doing the asphalt pavement, the driveway, and then the driveway cut on Estero. And those 3 parking spots, Bruce, that you love so much. We've got the contractor in queue for all of the concrete work, which is the National Fitness Court and the sidewalk, and also the sidewalk on School Street. We put them on notice to try to, secure concrete for the last week of this month. We've contacted the National Fitness Court people. We've scheduled that. The concrete pad has to be cured for 1 month before they can come in and install the equipment. We looked at the equipment. There's a couple little things that have some rust, which isn't a big deal, which considering the however many years it's been sitting is actually in really good condition.
Several years.
Yes. And then, as you've seen pictures posted on Facebook, the Public Works staff have been over there cutting down the trees that are obstructing, these improvements, and we're making some headway. So you'll see them probably over there today pulling out root balls. But kudos to, honestly, these guys taking on this, because it's something we would normally contract out, but we have the equipment and manpower and willingness to do it, so they're happy to get a change of scenery over there.
nice.
So this concrete pad that has to cure for a month, how's the rain gonna affect that? Cause I mean, in not too long, it's gonna be raining every single day.
Well, and that's why we're trying to get it poured by the end of this month, and let it cure and we have them on queue the end of May or early June to come in and install. I don't really foresee it to be an issue. They said at a minimum 25 to 28 days, 30 is safe for it to cure.
So Chelsea, while you're here, before your 10 o'clock, we need to talk about the signage.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there are, due to the grant that was written and received, there are certain verbiage that is required to be in the sign. So I gave everybody what we have now, and then what this is. Now, the branding is the thought pattern of Bayside and Times Square and all town properties to have a similar look. So that is where we start, because Bayside and Times Square also has this. You can see a beach access here with the colors from our new branding. So the consultants did just put something in there. The only thing that has to be in there is the word park. Is that correct?
Yes, so as part of the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, it's comes from the National Park Service. So they want the name of this to be park. And so when we did the application, we called it Bay Oaks Park. Now, it could be Bay Oaks Recreational Park. We don't really have, I mean, as long as the word park is in there, we've met the requirement. This concept would be on the front parcel, which is why it's in front of you today, because I would love to get this installed before I leave, or at least queued up so I can turn it over to Jason to see it through. But this, again, is based on our beach access signs, it has our logo, it has our font that town council adopted as part of the branding. It'll have the
logo for
the logo, and it also has the on the columns, I don't know what you would call it, the facade. It would match the other projects. So we're looking for your input and hopefully blessing on this so we can get it moving.
Allison, I don't have that. Can I get a copy of that?
You can. So this is what it looks like now, correct?
Yes, that's the one.
So this is the one we're going to.
Notice there's nothing about the pool here. That was my first thing. There's nothing about aquatic facility here.
Exactly.
Obviously, we need to comply with the rest of the branding. I have no issue with that, nor do I have an issue really with the use of the word park. That makes sense for all those reasons you mentioned. Additionally, obviously, we would want to include that logo. However, to me, that logo is just way too big. It doesn't need to be that prominent. And I love the part that this says welcome. It doesn't necessarily have to say welcome to, but I just seemed more friendly than this. It's just a little more corporate. And I don't know if, like, there can be something on the bottom that talks about that, yes, pickleball courts, pool, all of the facilities, so that people driving by Estero Boulevard at the very outset without driving in can know what's there. I think informational. I'm sorry?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
If you put it on the sign, then it becomes permanent. Like, is there a way to list everything not permanently?
So the intent of this sign is strictly like a landmark sign, and this is Bay Oaks Recreational Campus or Park. The details on that brown sign that you have, that one's currently kind of hidden at the corner of School Street and Oak. We could have we could replace that one in kind. They are updating it. Okay. This one is strictly, this is the front entrance. This is a welcome to. I love your idea. Let's put welcome on it. We've done that on all of our other signs.
Okay, so then what you're saying is there's just going to be two signs. There would be a replacement for this current sign
Yes.
in this location, and then additionally, this is going to be our front,
Parcel.
Yes.
yeah, our front
Yes, ma'am.
parcel, okay.
At least that's the intent, and again, if this committee and town council chooses otherwise, we can do that, but we wanted to get the sign on that front parcel, get it up and get it, once we can get that parcel done, get it operational, so.
Well, I love the design of the sign. I think it's great in terms of the plinth and the architectural components. I think it really makes a visual statement, and the size is good. But I just would love to see the word welcome, and maybe to have that logo just a little smaller. It's
So this is the concept, and what we would do next with these comments back that we hear from this committee is we would take it to an actual sign company. Lee Designs has done the other signs that we have throughout the island that they've done. They're doing the monument sign coming onto the island, and they've also done Bayside Park. So we would turn this over to them. They would do a mock-up in their system, send it back, that proof back to us for our final approval, and then once approved, it would go into production. So this was the concept from our landscape architect, so. But I'll take any feedback you have, please.
Here's a thought.
Go ahead.
Instead of saying recreational park, you could say pool sports park. I mean, it covers
And see, I was gonna say, I love the welcome and everything, but I was thinking something like park and recreation complex. To get it all in, it doesn't specifically say pool,
It doesn't say sports either.
yeah.
Well, but then you're eliminating all of the other wonderful things that happen in the community center that's going to be built, which, you know, wouldn't be on that park.
No, I think if you make it too wordy,
I think recreational park is fine,
What is the back?
simple.
Pardon?
Is there something on the back?
I think maybe it's double-sided. It's double-sided because of both sides of Estero Boulevard.
Oh, so it's
Cars
gonna
going
go like
Oh,
this,
so it'll
not
be
like that.
vertical.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if this is the driveway entrance, it would be like this. So from both,
Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
that's the, you know, like you go to the parks and they have, I mean, you can change out the signs, but it's like the big, it's plastic or whatever, and you can have like a map of Bay Oaks where it shows the pool and it shows everything from Estero. If somebody's walking by, they could see what's back there and they can go back there.
yeah, that
I'm
type
gonna
of
go all
directional signage, I would say would come later, once everything's established. I know like disc golf is one thing that's gonna have to be reviewed, and the placement of those holes, and that type of signage, once everything is in place, is when you would start to do that.
Yeah, that'll be like wayfinding signage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so
But I agree with Barbara that welcome on there would make a big difference.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, that's what we are, and we are welcoming them. And of course, we've squawked about not having an entrance on the boulevard, and we are going to have now. And so I think it's important that we let them know that they are welcome. So thank you for that input too.
You're welcome.
I have a suggestion and see if you guys think it would work. For me, when I look at the sign originally, like my OCD kicks in because everything's like off-centered and, you know, right? What if you took the FMB Beach logo and the welcome and moved it to the aluminum crossbeam that goes above it? That would free up the space underneath the recreational park to add all the things that are there, maybe the pool, the complex.
Pool.
You could add the amenities that are there below it. I don't know if that's a possibility with that aluminum, but.
Well, we have to look at the sign codes that the town has and make sure, I know the size limit is one thing. I don't know if it's as restrictive with the wording per se, but if that's how this committee wants to proceed, we'll review that ordinance and see if it's in compliance.
I think it's an interesting idea because that keeps the signage like actually informational and it makes it more a grand entrance, if you will.
The only thing that was originally thought of is having something up higher, but being it's double-sided, that'll protrude from, you'll see the backside depending on the direction you're going, if that makes
Unless
sense.
it's written on the metal, like if you just put welcome.
If you could just do it
Okay.
on the metal.
On it instead of like sticking.
Yeah, on the metal
Not next to
itself.
the sign.
Gotcha,
On the metal
gotcha.
itself.
I'm just hesitant to put all the amenities on the sign itself, because then if we change the amenities, like if pickleball does go away one day and we change the pickleball course to something else, or just as an example, not that it's going anywhere, but if it's on the sign, then it's permanent. Like, how do you add things if we add amenities, take away amenities? I don't know about that part.
You want to try to keep it as flexible as possible.
Right.
And your smaller wayfinding signs is where you would address the details of what your campus has to offer.
This
Well,
is just to pull everybody in. And does it
I
say what it is? Is it open to the public? Would people know that they're welcome there? That's my thing.
Oh, that's a
is
good.
The
open to
function of
public.
this is to not only include the park, but you want people to know they can go back there. You want people
that's
to
always a
know
great
that it's
idea.
open
Yeah.
to the
That
public.
could be on the very bottom, open to the public.
We
Yeah.
just
Doesn't
need
even
to
have to
make
be
sure that welcome everybody, you know, it's not a members only, it's for everyone. So that would be something I would like for y'all to think about, how to make sure, you know, everybody knows they can come in.
And actually, with regard to your concern, Becky, LED signs now are taking the place, so you set all of the verbiage and the text that you want to have, and that can be ongoing. So for example, if there is a sign that we have at not this one for the Sierra Boulevard, but at the entrance to the park from, say, school, it'll blast out the information about an upcoming concert or an upcoming event, so that is much
I like
more
that idea.
portable and changeable according to what's happening there. So we don't need to have it as a permanent sign.
Right.
Is there any conversation about that going forward?
That is not part of this project right now. Again, that would be kind of after the fact, once it's established and up and running.
Okay.
I think if you could try to, like, if it's possible to write welcome on the beam itself on both sides, and then like say something like open to the public Like Allison was saying, I like the open to the public thing.
Okay. And back to the title, Bay Oaks Recreational Park.
I love
I
recreational.
mean, I don't mind it, I don't know.
Bay Oak Park is also fine.
Yeah,
Our concern with not including recreational is you don't really, it's not a, what is it? What type
Yeah,
of park is it?
what kind of park is it?
kind of
You-
park?
You don't even,
What
it
kind of
doesn't address
recreation?
what
Yeah.
everything is, yeah.
Unless,
Exactly.
I mean, the only, pool and recreational park, I mean, nobody knows there's a pool there.
Right.
Pool is recreation, right? Is that-
Not always. I don't know how people know
Never
there's really a
say-
pool
really.
there.
I go there 3
Pool is recreation, but
know.
recreation
I know
doesn't
there's a
mean
pool
pool.
there.
exactly.
Do what?
I said pool is recreation, but recreation does not mean pool.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions for me?
No, those are the questions I have, yeah.
Okay. So this thing,
What I think will be very interesting is how the town is going to be reviewing the ordinance as it relates to this particular sign, as it relates to what our concerns are for Newton Park, that wearing our friends of the, are wearing our Mound House Advisory Board hats, that was a concern that we had for the entrance to Newton Park, having greater visibility through appropriate signage. And the signage that we had conceptualized a number of years ago would not have met the sign ordinance, but now it would be interesting to see if we could maybe do something like this there.
good point.
One last quick question, is there gonna be any lighting for this sign?
It would have similar uplighting directional to the sign itself, yes, that is the intent.
Good,
Good point.
excellent.
Why did we decide on the title? The words.
You guys let me know by the end of the meeting.
We just keep talking around it.
So Becky, did you have a specific question about the lighting that maybe Chelsea could help?
What I was thinking, honestly, I don't know enough to read this lighting plan. Thank you for providing it, but I don't really exactly know what I'm looking at yet. So my concern would basically like the ball fields, the lights are so tall. Is it gonna be the kind of lighting that comes directly down on the ball field, or is it gonna be the old style that go
We,
all over that, that
We-
kind of thing?
our lighting ordinance would dictate that, but it would the intent would be directional. And I think we've looked at, or RG Architects has reached out to, oh, I forget their name, the company, the big name in the game for ball field lights. They're the ones who did Sanibel's lights. We had reached out to them, and that's who we got the ball field lighting schematic from.
Okay.
So that's, until we put it out to bid and get pricing back, I can tell you the engineer's estimate on ball field lighting is close to $500,000. And that's a big number for this budget. So it's $5.5 million budget, and we're over it right now. So again, once that goes out to bid, we do it per line item. Bids come in, it would go to council for their review. And based on what the total is, if they choose to remove certain line items, then to get it within our budget, that's when the time would come. But for right now, it's, we can reach out to companies and get estimates, but until you actually put an order in, it's hard to tell. The numbers are changing almost daily.
Are you saying currently, as it's proposed, we are looking to model our lighting for the ball field just as Sanibel has?
That,
So it's more directional, is that what?
yes, ma'am. Actually, Chad was the one who brought it to our attention that Sanibel did a really good job at their ball field lighting. And so that's what we had reached out to their vendor and to see how they managed that and the type of lights and fixtures and poles and such.
Oh,
Is that a lot of light?
I've always had a question about the lighting at the ball field here on Fort Myers Beach. When you come in the evening from Sanibel Island and you see this mass of lighting, it's like, what the heck is that? Oh, that's our ball field. I mean, it lights up like miles around. It's just extraordinarily powerful, that lighting. So for one thing, I don't understand why that's not impacting the turtles, but I'm happy to hear that there's going to be a change of design, so perhaps it's
Well,
less.
and to
it
get to
impacts the
current.
neighboring houses too. Like
Oh,
just the
yeah,
people,
I'm
you know?
sure.
Exactly.
Well, it's a big concern, especially if you're playing baseball or soccer, or more specifically baseball or softball at night, and you have a line drive to the face. I mean, I played out there back in the day at night multiple times, so
Like blind
you
man.
want to make sure like you can see the ball.
But they have the ones now, I mean, that are so directional, they're amazing.
Well, and they've improved with time and technology, so.
LED.
And also, Barbara, we are in compliance with the turtle nesting season, so we have rented lights in order to be compliant. So we are very well aware that there have been issues, and anytime there are, we are in compliance with that. Chad lets us know, and we turn them off and make sure we don't affect that.
Okay,
Good.
It's not every year, but we've had a couple of years where we have modified the lights and rented lights in order for them to practice and things at that time.
okay,
So,
thank you.
It also tells you in the hex notes that the parking lot lights will be 15 feet a mounting height. Is that you were asking, someone was asking about the height of the poles.
Oh,
And then for the pickleball, it looks like it's 20 or 25 feet. So they're a little bit higher. I don't know how high the poles are currently at the ball field, but
Oh,
much higher than 25 feet.
I think they're
So that these lights will be much lower to the
big
ground.
ones? The big ball field lights?
Yeah, pickleball, it says 25.
Where
yeah,
do
they
you even
can
see that, Dan?
love them, so, yeah.
And then
Oh,
the
I
parking
see.
lot will, it says 15 foot.
Got it, over here.
Yeah, I don't know how big those are.
Well, I am here until May 4th.
Okay,
You
thank you.
can email me if you have questions. Of course, Jason, you guys will be in great hands, Allison too, this project will keep moving on. You want to come up and just say hey to the,
Yeah, just wanted Jason Freeman for the record. I grew up here on the island, so it definitely is a special place in my heart here. So I'm excited to get to work on developing these projects. Went to Bay Oaks when I was a kid after school.
was a summer camp counselor?
Was a summer camp counselor over there too. So I'm excited. I've worked with you all a little bit, I think, just in the clerk's office or maybe back helping Chelsea, but excited for the opportunity. So looking forward to it.
Be great to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so
Do
you
you
all
have,
need,
do you have what you need from us now,
you
Chelsea?
need to have consensus.
You'll have consensus by the end of the meeting, I'm hoping, and Allison will send me an email for the wording. And I seems like I've heard consensus about the welcome, but I'll wait for Allison's email at the end of the meeting. So we're gonna run over to Bay Oaks now, so.
And do you know that if the welcome can be put on that aluminum part, or you have to check on that?
We'll have to check, we'll have to ask, so. All right, thank you all so much.
Well,
It's been a
come back
pleasure.
and visit us anytime.
I
Would love
grant
to have you.
my Beth is my aunt, as you guys may know, so she's still on island. Her house is on the market, so we all may be leaving the island together, so.
Good.
But anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you,
Uh-huh.
Chelsea. Good luck. Good luck.
And I noticed that our town manager, Roger, has come into the meeting. Do you have a few words that you'd like to give to us this morning? I can't imagine you're not having some words.
I always have some words.
You bet.
I guess the word is welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, the main thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that for those of you who've been on a committee for a while, you may recall that we advised the committee that when we were going to be looking for grants, it was going to be easier probably to get grants for Times Square than for Bayside Park. So we've just been given advice that we're on the list to receive $1 million. So that would be the second $1 million for Times Square. And we have $1 million for the park. So our grants to sort of help make our $10 million, which was our total budget for the three projects, has grown by the $2 million we have for Times Square, the $1 million we have for Bay Oaks, and then of course the council talked about contributing $1 million to Times Square for the shade structures. So our total budget, if that holds true, is now $14 million.
Yay.
So that gets us closer to where we need to be able to meet the great ideas that everyone's having. And we've had a lot of project scope creep. And of course, I think everyone's seeing the inflation that's been going on, not only in their personal lives, but I can tell you in the construction industry. So we think we're getting closer. We're not sure we're there yet, but we're definitely getting closer to where we need to be. So there probably will be some value engineering that will have to be done when we get the bids. And then, of course, we'll have to take on the challenge of funding all the interior things in the building, because the building is the building. You have elevators, stairs, walls, windows, doors, roof. But everything else that goes inside, tables, chairs, monitors, security, et cetera, is gonna have to be dealt with. So, so we all will have some work to do. So all I say to you is, you know, as we do these things, you know, the main thing from our perspective is, let's keep the project on its current trajectory in terms of, you know, being bid and all of that, and let's, you know, we welcome your ideas, anyone's ideas at any time, but we have to be sure we just keep the project on its path in terms of, you know, getting your bids and getting construction started. And in terms of that, I think you've all seen, we've begun to work on the entrance parcel.
Yes.
We've decided that it would be the most cost-effective if we sort of break the project into road work, which includes the entrance parcel, vertical construction, which is the building, and then field work. And the reason for that is we felt that if we hired one contractor to do all three, two of the three wouldn't be their specialty, and they would charge us a premium of whatever sub they hired to do that aspect of their work. So by us basically breaking the contract into three, more construction management for us, but we would definitely save a significant amount of money. So that's the current plan. And we're very excited to get started. So we appreciate all your help in that regard.
Roger, quick question. When the county was in, they said they wanted to try to coordinate that one drain or the access that's really high in front of where the access is going to be. Has there been any communication with them to correct that at the same time?
Yeah, well, I think they're deciding whether they want our road contractor to do that and for them to pay us to pay him to do that, or they're gonna do that separately. So they haven't rendered a final decision on what their approach is. But in any case, it's gonna be a change order to our contractor, just a question of who pays them, whether they hire him or her, or we hire him or her to do it, and they pay us. So that's just logistics.
But it will be done at the same time.
Well, it's up to them if and when it's done. We're waiting on them for them to decide it's their road. But it's obviously, as someone who rides over that every day, I know it's there.
I don't think anybody doesn't know it's there.
Okay.
So are there any other grants on the horizon or in the works besides the ones that we've received? I mean, is anything still in the mix, or?
Well, we're constantly looking, but in terms of sort of the traditional grants, you know, the recurring grants, the ones that are available every year, not much more.
Okay.
Now, you know, sometimes there's a new funding source or something that becomes available. Of course, we're monitoring for that all the time.
Well, I just want to thank you and your staff for bringing the $2 million in grants that we
Yes.
didn't have.
Oh, my goodness.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's really three altogether.
Yeah, but
Three altogether. Well,
I think Times Square should share.
Well, what happens is, just to help you understand, what happens is when we get money from Times Square, yeah, they wind up sharing it by virtue of the fact that if we use the grant money at Times Square, the loan money we were gonna use at Times Square, we can then free up and use at Bay Oak. So that's why it's very important.
And
We will find a use for it.
I'm sorry, two people talking at once? I'm sorry? Oh, you'll find a use for it?
I just said that.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's always the challenge is, you know, they want, you know, the business people down there want certain amenities. I know you guys are very anxious to make this, if not a world-class, first-class park. So we're very anxious to just make it the absolute best thing that we can possibly do within our available dollars. We just wanted to really, not for no one to have to say, I went to Sunnyvale and I felt like I came back to something inferior here at Fort Myers Beach or any other city or part of Lee County. That's our goal.
Ours too.
Okay then, well, if there's no other direct
Any
questions.
other comments? I think Barbara and I both were jumping in there saying that we would definitely find a use for it.
Yes, you know,
We were jumping on that.
you know, Alice and I have already begun to have conversations about interior stuff, just to try to get ahead of, you know, that whole issue. You know, so that as soon as, the doors are open, the ribbon's cut, we can begin to start outfitting the inside. So we're already beginning to start to talk about that, even though the building hasn't started construction yet.
Do you have an overall budget estimate for the equipment and things that we need to outfit this new building?
Well, we're working on putting that together. But, besides tables, chairs, desks, and all those types of things, I mean, just, for example, the warming oven we put in the, kitchen area, those range from $12,000 to $40,000, depending on, the amenities you pick. So, I mean, there's a big range. And if we're gonna want to be able to warm up food for 200 people, which is our seating capacity, table seating capacity, that's more than one. So, we have a lot of work to do in that regard. Now, the council has talked about, increasing some of our revenue sources to help us do that, so that'll be needed and appreciated.
Well, and considering, and not talking about the new programs, like, say, a culinary school or, events having to do with food, which of course is a great idea, but like you say, that might not be out of the budget. But aside from that, all of the equipment and the, furniture, for example, or the storage equipment that would be needed to operate this new community center, would it not be appropriate for that to be a continued operating expense out of the town budget rather than project-oriented?
Well, the town has an amount of money it sets aside for the maintenance of Bay Oaks. That, we'll have to look at that number in terms of being adjusted, but things like the, audiovisual redo in this room costs $200,000. So we're gonna have to do one inside, we're gonna have to do one outside. So, we're putting together all those numbers, and, clearly it's gonna be, in the millions by the time we get done with outfitting that. And then on top of that, we're gonna have to make adjustments to Allison's staffing, because now we have another building we have to have people in and operate. We have all the operational costs of those buildings, that building. If we upgrade the fields, as I anticipate we will, that's gonna require a higher degree of maintenance if you go to more of a, high school, college level field. That requires a whole different maintenance scheme than a lesser field. So, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things that are gonna impact the operational budget. But we intend to work through those, and not only do we want to build a first-class facility, we want to maintain a first-class facility.
Thank you.
Okay, well, you all have a great day. Good to see you. I got your note, Bruce. Thank you.
Can I see you afterwards?
Please.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Roger, for stopping.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anything else on the redevelopment that we
You
want to?
still need consensus on the sign, on the wording. That's one thing we've got to walk away with today.
Consensus on the sign.
So I have the welcome to go on there, is that correct? And possibly it could go on the aluminum, we don't know that, but you definitely want the word welcome, is that correct? And then, what are the other things that you would like?
Public.
Open to the
Open to
public.
I had public welcome, but open to the public, but then we have welcome on there twice.
Yeah, if you put welcome, then it should say open to the public, I think.
The
It's not
one-
welcome
One
twice.
or the other, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
Not
need them
public
both.
welcome, yeah.
Okay, and how are we gonna, talk about it, there's a pool there, did you wanna do pool and recreational park?
I think it needs to say pool. It's amazing that, I mean, there's a Fort Myers Beach Moms Facebook group, and it is amazing. Every single time somebody posts a picture of the pool, people are commenting, where is this? I've never seen that before. People just do not know that it's there.
Right,
I agree.
I like pool and recreational park.
Bay Oaks Pool and Recreational Park, like that, and it'd be welcome,
Yeah, welcome,
okay?
public,
Welcome, Bay Oaks Pool and Recreational Park, open to the public.
open to the public. Yep.
Barbara?
Gonna get too wordy, I'm sorry. I think for this main sign, simply because if people are going to come to an event at the community center, nothing about that sign will talk about the community center, which is where a lot of these social and cultural activities are going to take place. So, I think by being too delineated on this particular sign, that would be, there was too much verbiage.
Okay, so what can we do to tighten it up a little bit? What would you suggest?
I mean, obviously, we're required to do Bay Oaks Recreational Park.
Well, park is the only.
Park, okay.
That's the only
Bay-
word in there, park.
Okay, and Bay Oaks is really up for grabs then, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, park is the only thing that they would, and it was under Bay Oaks, recreational park was the grant written for that, so,
I think either welcome or open to the public is a consensus that we all came up with in terms of
Yes.
what we would like to see on that sign. For one, this is just my opinion, I would just like to have less and have more information on this additional sign as people go in. I think a lot of what we can do can be done on social media with regard to getting the word out. I think that sign, when we sort of brand the sign with the pool and the community center and the ball field and all the other activities that take place there, will augment and better inform the public about what's available.
I mean, personally, if I'm gonna pick between welcome and pool, I'm gonna pick pool, because it's at the street. You know, I mean, that's, you want people to come in, you don't want people to come in and then let them know, oh, by the way, since you're here, we have a pool, you know, like, you want that at the street. So that's just my opinion. I think the open to the public can be very small, towards the bottom, it's not gonna be a big thing like Bay Oaks Recreational Park.
right, yeah.
It's gonna be very tiny. But I think, to me, pool is very important, because, and I don't know, people just don't know what's back there. That's gonna pull people in too.
I agree.
Good. So we do have consensus.
Well, what are your thoughts, Betty?
Well, I like the idea of the welcome. I'm not sure we need the two, but welcome and open to the public. Seems like that is a normal thing on any sign.
A lot of our signs say that,
Yeah, and,
standard.
but I think it's also important to let them know. I mean, we've waited for so long that I just think it's important to say something about open to the public. And it can be small, it can be at the bottom,
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we've
And-
got those two now.
but just have something on there for it.
What about the middle?
I like the pool. I think that's important. We know it's there. It's amazing to me. People will say, well, gee, I didn't know that's where the pool was.
Right, so even with the facility, you all can envision the entrance, the parcel will have the fitness court, and it will definitely draw people's attention, but yet you're still not gonna be able to see the pool.
No, you can't.
Right.
Okay, so I
No.
do agree that it's a good idea to put the pool in there, because it's there, it's just, the slide is the tallest and, you
Right.
know, you can't really see that except on, around the sides. So
Exactly.
I think
However,
it's a good
what will be the elephant in the room is this, you know, three-story building that's pretty much going to dictate what the heck is going on in that building. So I think if we address that in this sign, it's probably going to go a long way in terms of saying, okay, this is in addition to the pool or the ball fields.
Right.
That's
So
kind of
that's
why I
the-
brought up complex.
The community center, right.
Community
That was
center.
something that we were talking about. It's a hub for the community to be able to come, or visitors just to come and see what's going on at any given day, because there'll be schedule of events just happening throughout the day.
I mean, that building's gonna be at the height of the library, am I right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that alone is going to change the conversation, just by sheer physical impact to people driving along. And then people will say, oh, there's a park there, so.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other about including or not including the pool, but I just don't want it to get too wordy on that particular sign.
So how would you word it otherwise? Like, does complex cover it?
Park, Bay Oaks Recreational Park.
Yes.
So you would take the pool out of it? I think the pool should
Because
be in
if
it.
I,
That's
if
my
I
opinion.
put pool in, then I would have to put community building, I would have to put ball fields, I
No,
would
you-
have to
No,
put.
that
don't
is-
have
That
to.
is
That's in
recreational
recreational.
though.
Yeah.
Like the pool is, recreation includes that no matter what, it doesn't always include the
Okay,
pool.
and then what about the building?
That's the complex.
That's gonna be
That's what Karen was saying,
obvious. I
complex,
mean,
if you
that's-
put,
what you're gonna see.
So then it would be complex
I think
park
if you
because.
have, I think if you add complex, you'd have to put Bay Oaks Park though, and then put like pool and recreational complex underneath it, which just adds another word too, but it does cover the building.
That's not bad, though. Bay Oaks Park.
But Bay Oaks Park at the
Oaks
top,
Park,
and then
and
pool and
then pool and
recreational
Recreational
complex.
complex.
Yeah. Or how about campus as opposed to complex? I
Yeah,
mean,
Bay Oaks Park.
And Bay Oaks Park could be all in the same font,
Right.
bigger, that's the
And
biggest
then
thing.
Pool.
Yeah.
And then the pool and recreational,
And
whatever,
recreation.
underneath is
Community
smaller.
center, yeah.
Recreational, what did you say besides complex center?
Recreation.
Campus.
Campus, I
Yeah.
like campus.
I like that.
I mean, it seems to me as if that makes it a little younger, you know? And
Yep.
people see campus and they think, oh,
Yep.
activity.
Yeah, I like that. Bay Oaks Park, all on one line, pool and recreational campus.
I like it better than complex.
I do too.
Yeah,
I was just trying to get
Yeah, yeah,
The-
trying to
full spectrum.
consolidate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like that.
Well, I like the Bay Oaks Park all on one line. That too is pretty, it goes a long way in terms of, you know, shortening the label to say, okay, let's go to Bay Oaks Park.
You bet.
Yep.
and that's your biggest thing when you look at the sign, so that way it doesn't look all, it's not all the same, like,
Font.
yeah, it can't be the same font, can't be the same height letters,
No,
that's the biggest
every
thing.
line will be different.
Right.
Well, in the FMB, as Dan mentioned, that could be very small. I mean, that's, you know, wherever we have that.
Yeah, they'll do several layouts when you all come up with the wording. They usually do a couple of, I like to do at least 3, so you can see the differences in the font and how big and placement of everything, including the logo. So, Bay Oaks Park, is everybody good with that being on the top?
I like that, yes.
Okay, and we still have the welcome, Bay Oaks Park. And then are we putting pool and recreational campus underneath that?
I mean, it can be smaller, but at least it's
Absolutely.
there.
Pool and recreational campus. Because they know that it's a park.
Right,
And
and
we
we
don't
have
have
to
to-
use park.
Yeah, we don't have to. be
Yeah, and
redundant
park
on
would,
that.
would
is the
hint at a community, like it's,
Oh, okay.
you still want open to the public at the bottom?
Yeah, so
I
that's
think
small.
so. It can be very small, but I
Yeah.
think people will see it.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that makes it welcoming when people see that. You know.
You may still be able to get your welcome then at that crossbar.
Yes,
That's what I'm hoping.
we're gonna,
Yeah.
we're gonna try that and see if we can.
That would
If
be
not, we'll
prettier.
have them laid out. Because you think about, when you have events, you're gonna, you're gonna advertise as the name Bay Oaks Park, and so people are gonna be looking for that.
Right.
The other information is important for people who wanna know what it is and discover it, coming upon our wonderful sidewalks that are so busy, this time of year. And now that the construction is happening, I don't know if you all have noticed, every day when I go up and down Estero, I always notice people walking and looking, and they definitely are noticing what is going on.
Yes.
They're pointing and talking about it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
Those
So
trees-
exciting.
it is. They're like, look, what's happening? And then the sign kind of says
Yep.
it all, so.
And that mesh fencing that went up, and the trees going down
You can
a little
see
path
that there.
for the kids on the side that
It's
has
just
been eliminated. I
one
mean,
whole
it's just,
island of construction right now.
That's
yes,
true.
it is, it is.
It's
But
amazing.
this
when
is
you're
something
driving
we've
through.
waited a long time
Oh,
for.
absolutely. Get it done.
Okay, wonderful. So do I have consensus on the welcome? And then it'll say Bay Oaks Park. And then underneath it, it'll say Pool and Recreational Campus. And then smaller, yet again, will be open to the public.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll have, send this to Chelsea, and I will send out some renditions so you all can kind of see the layout and what you think about how large things are. We'll try to get the welcome on the post, but if not, I'll have them lay it out other ways. Okay,
Just
You
wanted
need
to
anything
add
else?
something though, just Barbara, you had mentioned that the building is gonna be 3 stories. It's technically only 2 stories, and it won't be as high as I could just, people thinking that it's gonna be as tall as the library. That's not the case. It's only 2 stories, which is 24 feet to the soffit.
Okay, 24 feet, so,
Yeah. The roof line obviously would be taller,
well, right.
but it won't be 3 actual stories.
No, it's just the overall height.
Yeah, of the, what do they call it, the cupola thing or something, might be up
a
higher
little
than
bit
that.
higher,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I was looking at the total height regardless of what the stories are, because that's obviously,
Exactly.
FEMA regulations dictates that there isn't anything on that first floor. I think, I don't know, I just always think about that as the given of having had that rule for so many years on the island, so.
I just didn't want people to think that all
I
of a
can
sudden, wait, it changed again and there's 2 stories above, you know.
Right, yeah, no,
That's
thank
all
you
right,
for
we're
the clarification, exactly.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you for that. I'll
all
send
right.
that to Chelsea.
Well, I think we're ready to move on to Friends of Bay Oaks.
What a nightmare this has been. Okay, so I had gone through all of the tax things and all this stuff and had all my questions answered. And then, of course, I go to print it off and do it legibly, and they've changed the whole format. They've changed the forms, and you can only do it online and submit it online. There is nothing that you can print off or do anything. And so I have my computer here because I have a number of questions as we go forward with this. So basically, I put myself down as the contact and the mailing address because that's what they asked for. But then, and then the EID number, or EIN number, we had to put that in. Then we have to name officers and directors for this. It doesn't mean that it can't change. And I went back and I looked at the bylaws that had been sent to me, and we have to have a minimum of 3, not more than 7. So from a previous meeting, I put Beth Cherry in as the president. I put Bruce in as the vice president. I put myself in as secretary because that's what I was feeling like. And I put Barbara Hill in as treasurer. And that's as far as my 3, and I added 1 more, and don't you dare get out of here. Hold on, click here to continue using. Okay. So, also with this whole form, after you answer the 60 zillion questions that they have in here, you have to submit it online with a user fee of $600 in order to even apply for this.
Really?
Yeah, so, and that has to come directly out of a, ACH, transferred out of a bank account or on a credit card. So I didn't know how we wanted to handle that because we can't submit this without the $600 fee. And then they'll come back to you with any questions You know, like, did you really mean this? Did you really mean that? But I would love to have some second eyes on this thing too, except I can't print it out. It has to be, you know, on the site.
Right.
I mean, I can basically give you my username and password, so you can go and look at it. But that's kind of where we at.
Is this to start all over again, or is this just to renew what was?
We have to start all over again because it had gone to, it lapsed too long.
Yeah.
It had lapsed past the 18-month mark. So now we had to start all over again.
Unfortunately.
So then,
So does the town have a credit card they can use for that? Dan, you got
It
one?
has a bank, it does have a bank balance, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
well, they took supposedly there's an open bank account, and I need to get a hold of Denise for account numbers and all that kind of stuff. So supposedly Iberia Bank on Summerlin, the account is still open, so I have no idea how much is in there. I have no idea who has access to it. I'm assuming that Denise still does, and so we'd have to go in there and change names and all that kind of thing. But I'm sitting here holding a check too that was given to us after the Puttin Pub, which I haven't done anything with yet. So that percentage that we got for the Puttin Pub was $1,714.95. So if we deposited this, and then I could set up the ACH to take the 600 out, you know, it would cover it, at least to get us started, because I have no idea what's in that account or anything about the
I
account.
thought they flushed the account out.
Well, see, I thought they did too, because they gave $15,000 back to the city to use for educational. But then Denise, in previous conversations, said, no, that we still have the account open. So there has to be some kind of money in there, maybe a couple $100 or $100 or something to keep the account open, is what I'm thinking. And then the other thing I did too, because I didn't have any of your home addresses, nor did I think you wanted your home addresses on here. So I just put the mailing address for everything as, you know, Bay Oaks
Yeah.
Recreation Center.
That's
I
good.
just put that mailing address, so I'm thinking that's okay, Allison? Sorry, I put the Bay Oaks Rec Center for all of our addresses for the purpose of,
Yeah.
this is what this is, or not.
There is something that is in the back of my brain about the Friends of Mound House not doing that because we are a town facility. So I believe that you need to have your own PO box, like the Friends of Mound House. Now, don't ask me to bring up what regulation that is, but I'm not sure that you can put the address for the 501c3 is the same as the government entity that it supports.
I think, yes, because one is a private nonprofit, the other is a
Yes.
municipality.
Right.
Totally different, and
And
so.
But
that,
yet we did it for the state, for Lover's Key.
for the
That's a
state
state
park.
though.
Oh,
That's
so that's
It's a
different.
different
I don't
government
know.
agency with different rules,
I
I'm
just
sure.
don't know, Karen, and it may be that it had to do with getting mail there. I mean, something came up with the Friends of Mound House. I don't think, Betty, do you and Barbara remember that? It's been a while.
No, one we didn't have a post office down here.
Right.
And I had gone to the main post office, and we had some concerns on that.
Maybe that was what I think of. Karen, did you, because we don't have a mailing, everything that we get mail is town hall, so,
Okay, because I actually put the Bay Oaks
Yeah,
Rec Center,
we-
so we can't do that.
no, because we don't get mail at Mound House or the pool, or everything is
Right.
filtered to 2525
Comes to the
Estero.
Town.
So so the other thing I could do is open a PO box at the post office, which is like I think that's $120 a year. That's what we pay for Lover's Key anyway. And then we get 2 keys with it or whatever, and,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that would be good to mimic that. That's what the Friends of Mound House has, is a PO.
And
so we need to have 2 people on that account, I know for sure, on a PO box.
And I would suggest that if we get in touch with Milligan, if she,
Denise Monahan,
Denise Monahan.
Monahan?
If she can give us any information about that bank
Yeah.
and the bank account, And even if, we know who the co-signers are, then you can, change that and update it. It would seem to be that would be the first order of business, to either, verify that account is open or if it's closed. And, once we know that for
Since you're
sure.
the designated treasurer, you'd have to go over there with me.
And I don't know how my name came up as the designated treasurer, so.
Come on, I had to put people's
But we'll have a
names.
conversation about that. I'm already serving on 4 boards as an officer.
I
so
know,
just
join the
don't know
crowd,
that I
so.
can- Factually 5, so.
Well, I only put myself down as secretary because that's what I felt like when I
Of
was
course.
typing
I'm
this thing
sure.
out.
Bruce, aren't
You
you,
bet.
aren't you president or vice president?
Bruce is vice
Vice
president.
president.
Okay, and Beth
Beth
is
is president.
Okay.
She actually agreed to that in one of the meetings. I wrote it down.
The last meeting.
Great, yes, it's in the minutes.
Right.
I think she
it's-
roped Bruce in as vice president?
I think.
No, I
don't know.
agreed.
Did you?
Yeah, I agree.
I know, Bruce agreed. Bruce agreed,
So they do
so.
nothing.
Oh, that's right.
And once it's in the minutes, it's gospel, isn't it?
Right, that's what I understand, so, okay, all right, I'm gonna get a hold of Denise, I will see what kind of money is there. I can open a PO box, but I'll be in touch with you, Barbara, because we'll need 2 signers on the account. And if somebody else wants to be treasurers,
If somebody
speak
else
now
would
so I can put
prefer
this
being
in there.
treasurer, that would be of great help to me. If you virtually find no one and you need somebody to sign, I will temporarily serve as treasurer for you.
Okay.
But,
So who's
I
not
cannot
here that
take
we
on
can
another
assign?
responsibility.
Who's not here that we can,
I don't have time.
see, I
As
know.
much as I'm at my kids' school and we're redoing things in our house.
Okay, so this is what I'm coming to with all this. And I know we talked about the Friends of Bay Oaks and reinstating it and everything else. But it's exactly this that is the problem, because nobody has time to make it what it should be. And so are we,
Spinning our wheels.
spinning our wheels? Are we ready to take this on, or do we take a step back until maybe after the building is started and more people are seeing that it's becoming a reality, and then we go out to the public for this? Because what I'm hearing from everybody is nobody has time.
It would seem to me that there's so much money and effort in this project being put into the baseball activities. It's somebody from the baseball ought to step up and be part of this.
Well, and I think that's where Beth came in.
She's more soccer.
She's more soccer, but
Yeah, that's more like Shannon, I don't know how much, Orlandini. I don't know.
Shannon Orlandini, which, I haven't even been in touch with Shannon, but, I'm just hearing everybody here is like, I don't have time, and
Right.
are we 10 steps ahead of ourselves in doing this? And, if that account is open, I can go ahead and deposit this check in there, there's not gonna hurt anything to do that. But should we wait? I'm asking the question, because I feel the same way, I'm on 4 different boards, I'm officers
I
of
know you
those,
are.
and,
I know you are.
so I don't know.
I think everybody gets that point.
Well, why don't we delay it to the next meeting? That's the best way to do things, you just kick it down.
Because I can save all this, it's not gonna go away, I know that,
Save it and.
And I just
and
say
get-
to Beth comes back, since she's the president.
So I'll just keep the Friends of Bay Oaks on the agenda for BORCAB.
Okay,
okay.
To be continued.
I mean, I think it's a good idea to ask other people, like baseball or something, just to say, hey, we need help with this, because they may not even know that we need help. Shannon's obviously busy too, I have
Right.
no idea how much time she has, but it's possible she could be like, yeah, I'll be treasurer. Worst she could say is no,
But in the meantime, Karen's gonna find out what's the story with the bank account.
I will.
And the,
Try
yeah.
to defend
I'll have that, and if I do find out that, or just anything, just, because I want to get this check deposited. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Right.
was written at the end of January, and I probably should call Mary and find out if it's still,
Good.
is there a 90-day limit on this, or what the
Yeah.
thing is, so.
right.
Okay. All right, so I just saved everything, it's in there, it's not going away, and we'll take it up at the next meeting then.
Right,
To be continued.
To be continued, okay.
okay, well then let's move on to the department report, and Allison.
So, thank you, Betty. I wanted to see if any of you would be interested. One of my favorite events, they're all my favorite events, but our Easter event is coming up on April 16th. We have a couple of egg hunts, and we're going to have some activities for the kids. It's always a really good turnout. We usually get at least 500 people. Last time we had this a couple of years ago. If anybody would like to volunteer, we are asking volunteers to contact Danielle or myself. The event starts at 9, but our volunteers to help scatter the eggs around for the different age groups that are going to have the egg hunts. And so that is April 16th, starting at 8 o'clock. It lasts till about 12. It's always a really fun event. So we are also having egg stuffing parties, and we've got some volunteers who are coming to Bay Oaks on the 14th, which is the Thursday, April 14th at 5 p.m. to be able to help stuff our little Easter eggs with different things. Denise and some of the Friends of Bay Oaks a couple of years ago when we had it, because it's been a couple of years ago since we had it, had a really great idea to put things other than candy in the eggs. So we're going to be putting little different things in there. So if you're interested, please let me or Danielle know. Again, that's April 14th at 5 o'clock at Bay Oaks to stuff the eggs. And then the event is April 16th, asking volunteers to come at 8 o'clock, and it lasts till about 12. So the departmental report is for the list of activities for February. If you have any questions, let me know. Our teen program is full force. We did have a great turnout for Fun Days for spring break camp. Our summer camp registration is now open and on the website. And it is our goal to be able to get all of our fun days and activities at the beginning of the school year next year. So people will be able to see where they can register for different things, and also very clear on when the registration deadline is. So we are hoping to bring back some youth basketball this summer, teen trips to be able to go to different places, and also our summer camp will get to travel again this year because they didn't get to travel the last couple of years due to COVID. So we're really excited to be able to bring that back into our programming. So if you have any questions, let me know. We are still extremely short-staffed. I will just let you know this. It has been quite a challenge over the past year. We have our youth and teen coordinator position, full-time positions still open. We have many part-time positions still open, especially at the pool. The aquatic center is functioning, but we could not extend hours because we do not have the staffing. So until we can get adequate staffing, we are not going to be able to extend hours for the pool. Normally we're 9 to 6 and we're 7 days a week, and we've not been able to do that. So the HR, Susie Judy, has helped tremendously in trying to get the word out, but it is a very unique time right now with this. We are reaching out to FSW and FGCU to see if we can have summer camp counselors, internships, paid internships. We're just really trying to be creative to bring in the college students who are going into recreation and also education to be able to be a certified lifeguard or to help with our summer camp programs. I am lucky enough to already have 2 paid interns at Mound House for the summer, but we are really working hard to try to staff our pool. So if you all know any college students that would be interested in coming and having fun with us this summer, please let us know. Otherwise, we are just unable to extend our services right now. So we're really looking hard. A lot of the college students right now are signing up for those things for summer because they're going to be ending their semester in May. So we're really hoping the traffic picks up. We have it on social media. We have it on Indeed. We are trying to get it out. It's on our website, word of mouth. If you all know anybody, please let them know that we are hiring. And this is not just a problem here on Fort Myers Beach. It really is universal right now. And if you all have been listening to the New York Times or NPR, you all have known about some of what's happening right now in the job market. So we have really great benefits and good pay and wonderful staff, so we're really hoping to attract people. So please help us get the word out if you know anybody who might be interested. We can do interns, we can do summer, we can do full-time. They just need to apply. So we have a lot of positions opening and on our website. So that is all that I have for my departmental report. Do you have any questions about anything?
As I was reviewing this, it occurred to me that the Bay Oaks Social Seniors, that's an extraordinarily active group. It looks like they're having great fun. Would they not be great friends of the Bay Oaks membership and that initiative that for them to take over? They're mostly retired, and so they would have the time. Certainly, they have the interest because they've been so active.
That program has been very popular. I can definitely ask Danielle to bring that up to her participants. They have April and May, that will be, so they have a couple more months of activity, so I'll be glad to see if she could send something out to her participants as a call to see if anybody wants to volunteer.
I think that's just as a good match.
Sure.
It would be.
And oftentimes when you have this kind of social activity, it sort of is in keeping with what a nonprofit organization does too, which is advocacy. And obviously fundraising, which maybe some of these people might be able to do. The other question I have is your leadership program coming up, Allison.
Yes, that's CellCab.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Yes.
CellCab. Okay. Sorry.
That's
Wrong,
okay.
wrong department.
Registering this month, but yes.
That's coming up.
Yes, that's coming up. Registration opens in April.
Well, it's going to benefit Bay Oaks too.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
it will. It will, Barbara, yes. Okay, so I'll ask Danielle to reach out to that. Also, when we get fully staffed, and what we're trying to do right now, we do have a few volunteers, but to cultivate our volunteer program at Bay Oaks. We have a really good, strong one at Mound House, and we're really trying to let people know that they can come and socialize with our wonderful members that come in, and for a few hours, a couple of times a week. We do have a few that like to volunteer for some of our after-school and some of our special events, but we're also looking to really have that group grow over at Bay Oaks as well. So I will definitely have Danielle send that out to see if anybody's interested. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you. Well, that brings us to board member items and reports. And Bruce, let's start down there with you for anything that you might have that you want to add.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay.
The only extra thing I have is that I would love to see the basketball this summer at Bay Oaks. I think that's important. We personally had to go somewhere else last summer, and I would not want to do that again.
We're planning that right now as we
Yes.
speak, Becky, so we hope to have information out on the website.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Barbara.
Actually, I have an item that I would like to bring up, and that is a conversation that I've heard and had with a number of people, both from the community, from staff, from fellow members. The idea of merging advisory boards has been a conversation. And there has been the interest in merging the not the Friends, but the Bay Oaks Advisory Board with the Mound House Advisory Board, the CellCab. CellCab and BORCAB would then ostensibly become one board. And the reason why that now makes sense, it didn't at the time when we were developing the Mound House. That was a very concentrated, i.e. redevelopment and re-envisioning and the building of a museum, which required very succinct activity based on the people who were interested. Now that that's been running so well, thanks to Allison and her staff and the support from the town, and our becoming a reality for the new community center, the idea of merging both boards would be a combination of similar interests, because there'll be events that'll take place at the Mound House, there'll be events taking place at Newton Park, events taking place at Bay Oaks, and so this board then would be responsible for providing recommendations to staff and to council about what activities those would be, what would be the parameters, what would be appropriate to be held at the Mount House, what would be most appropriate to be held at Bay Oaks, and so forth. And so the merging at this time, or maybe in the near future, I think is a conversation worth having.
Well, I think we've heard that this was going to, that we did have a couple of members of council that had mentioned it, and I have talked to a couple of them, and I think that they were thinking that in this way it would be a more efficient way of doing it. I'm always interested in listening when somebody comes up with something like that. I mean, let's see what like the old Ben Franklin, I mean, everything for it, everything against it, and put it out there. So I kind of like the idea of, and I'm not sure,
I give you two thoughts on that. First of all,
Pardon?
let me give you two thoughts on that.
okay,
First of all, Barbara said that when the Mount House was starting, they were under construction and doing all this and
right,
took a special concentrated effort. That's what's happening here
Exactly.
yes,
with Bay Oaks now. So
exactly.
it's starting, the dirt hasn't really turned yet, but it's going to be, and it's gonna take a couple of years probably.
You can't combine them now.
And so, right, so there's not going to be any opportunity to decide between Bay Oaks and Mount House, because Bay Oaks isn't gonna exist in a position to offer facilities for a couple of years, most likely. What was the other part of that? Maybe that was the
I
whole
agree with
thing.
that, though. I mean,
There-
most of
there
our-
was 2 points there, and I guess
Most of
I
our meeting is
combined them.
about the construction and all the different decisions. So if we're combined with Mount House right now, that
Well, I'm going to let you know that I have been given the direction to go ahead and start finding vendors for events. So even though I know vertical construction has not happened, I am already getting information on different cultural events in order to be able to cultivate that relationship and not compete with other organizations, but to complement what they do and making sense with that relationship. If there is a cultural event that's happening in Marco and maybe it's over here, or if it's downtown Fort Myers, and trying to get a handle on all that, that actually does take more than a year or so to do. So I see what you're saying with that part, but we are moving. We have our plan for that now. It's time to be able to start planning other things. So it will be, I think, sooner, Bruce, than a couple of years for when those events start happening. And to me, I want to make sure that I am complementing the department as a whole with Parks and Recreation and Cultural. And I will do that because I am overseeing both, and I can value what is in both of those departments, so it is complementary and it is not competitive or having things too similar, duplicating efforts. It is a good exercise to be able to start now that we are starting to have events now, and getting that utilization is so exciting. I've waited a couple of years for that, and now we're back to it.
Well, and it makes sense on so many levels. Number one, Allison, you are already in charge of the Mound House, Newton Park,
Right,
and all of the
exactly.
parks, and, and Bay Oaks. And so the dovetailing of that activity and the job that we all collectively have to do as community members to provide recommendations to council is, I think, best served if we're all under one board. And this will take time. Obviously, there's got to be consensus, and I think maybe what I would like to recommend is that this be on the agenda for our next meeting, to actually have that conversation on a more official basis, because this is just a board member comment of mine. So I would recommend that we put that on an agenda. Oops, sorry.
So if you did that, then you wouldn't need the Friends of Bay Oaks, you'd just have the Friends of Bay Mound.
Well,
clever as that is.
Always thinking.
Well, I mean, there is some validity to that. But
Sorry.
I guess I'm also wondering then, where does the alliance fit into that? Because, you know, we have the alliance group, can't remember, I'm on it, but I can't remember what it is. And we represent each one of the boards that we're on. So there's, you know, representation of Lover's Key, of Women's Club, of BORCAB, of Friends of the Arts. So where does that fit
So,
into?
yeah, yeah. That could, I mean, there's a lot of different things that can go into the development of a merging. You know, we reviewed,
Well, it requires a new ordinance.
that's what I
And
mean.
so there's a tremendous amount of legal work that needs
So-
to be done. If we're eliminating two advisory boards and we're combining them into one advisory board, it has to be then renamed, it has to, you know, give out what our responsibilities are.
But
So
Karen,
it's,
that's where that could come in for representation of those
Mm-hmm.
different facilities or activities that you would want to have a good balanced
Mm-hmm.
committee, advisory committee.
so, conversation can continue next
Yes,
time we
okay.
meet.
So you
And
want me
that'll
to
be
put
on
it-
the agenda.
Put it on the agenda?
Yes.
What would you like me to title that for?
Merger?
Bay
I don't
Mountain
know.
merger.
Merging
Bay
of,
Mound.
merging of BORCAB and CELTAB. Merging BORCAB, CELTAB.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
okay. I'll put that, make sure it gets on the agenda for next time.
Sorry for the phone.
Okay. Did you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Karen, did you have anything?
No, no, I'm good.
Any other comments? Well, I think it's kind of interesting, you know, speaking of the merger and things, some of us have been around for quite a while, and it's interesting to go back and look. I happen to have, one of my kids have just moved to Fort Myers Beach full-time now. I mean, he just built a house up at the north end, and he wants to get involved in things. And so he and his wife said, you know, you keep talking about the Mound House and Bay Oaks and these things. We'd like to go over and take a look at the Mound House. We did. And I was one of the original docents over there. But I mean, my goodness, all the things that have gone on. And I think that when we're involved in something, we forget some of that past. It was a real eye-opener to me to be able to get their viewpoints of things. And of course, I mean, that just was one incident, and I can see that now as Bay Oaks is coming on and going to have the exposure and all, we're going to have even more. So, I don't know, I think that this conversation is probably very pertinent at this time. So, it was just, like I say, an eye-opener for me, and then to see this, I can't wait for that entrance to come in off of the boulevard and break that open. So, anyway, that's really all that I have at this time. And so far as future meetings, May 3rd would be our regular meeting. Is that,
Mm-hmm, and we have the strategic plan update due at that time as well. So we'll be reviewing that.
okay? So is May 3rd good with everybody? 9 o'clock? All right, very good. And if there is nothing further to come before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move, Barbara Hill.
Okay, motion by Barbara.
I'll second.
Okay, Karen? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned
Thank you,
at
Betty.
10:29. Thank you.
You know, Betty, I've heard through the grapevine that Friends of Bay Oaks is looking for some volunteers if your son's not doing anything.
Really?
Pardon?
Right.
You said Friends of Bay Oaks needs volunteers if
How is he, how is he at treasury and secretary?
go.
His wife could be secretary and he could be the treasurer.
That's wonderful that
I
he's.
think that's a great plan.
It's nice that he's coming, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's what's happening to me too. They're like, oh, my kids are coming home to.
They're coming back, yeah. I mean, and it was interesting because they were talking about Mound Key, and he said, oh, yeah, he said, we spent all